Let us consider another source of alternative energy, the sun. The sun is really a nuclear reactor which generates energy by the process of nuclear fusion, the combination of hydrogen atoms with each other to form helium, releasing large amounts of energy as described by Einstein in his famous equation E equals mc squared. However, this nuclear reactor is so far away that we don't have to worry much about the radiation coming from it. There is a lot of this radiation that reaches the Earth, however, in the form of light. And it's said that there is enough solar radiation reaching the Earth in 1 minute to supply all of our energy needs for a year. The problem is that we don't collect much of it, and the challenge is to figure out how to use more of this energy arriving at the Earth from the sun. Many of us have experienced this large amount of energy in sunlight by using a magnifying glass to concentrate it and burn a hole in a piece of paper. A more spectacular experiment was done many years ago where this was used to actually melt metal. The total amount of solar energy which is available is much greater than the amount of wind energy which could be gotten, and even this is much greater than the total energy consumption of the Earth. What we need to do is to learn to collect and use it better, and this is an important challenge. Solar energy can be used in decentralized systems. We don't have to have large facilities. They can be located where the user is. This has an advantage in that these are less susceptible to failures and to terrorism, and we don't have the loss of energy that occurs in transmission systems. We don't need high-tension lines or pipelines. One way to use the solar energy is to use its heat in a variety of ways. In order to do this effectively, we must design our facilities with this in mind. We must orient the houses properly and have storage facilities to store the energy when the sun is not out. Such techniques can be used in third world countries where fuel is short, and the heat energy there could be used for cooking in solar ovens. For water heating, we can have collectors on the roofs of our houses where the water is circulated through tubes that are heated by the sunlight. Here is a picture of a house where the occupants enjoy hot water which is heated completely from solar panels on the roof. For industrial purposes, where we want to achieve a higher temperature, we can do the analogy of what we did with a magnifying glass and use mirrors to concentrate the sun's rays. Here, for example, is an industrial use used to generate electricity, where the concentrated sun's rays are used to boil water, which generates steam, which then passes through a turbine and an electric generator to produce electricity. As an alternative to using the sun's energy to produce heat, we can use it to generate electricity directly using a device called a solar or photovoltaic cell. These operate through the light ejecting electrons from suitable materials. So far, these are mainly based upon silicon crystals. These are relatively expensive, and efforts are underway to find cheaper materials. However, these usually have lower efficiency. Current commercial solar cells have conversion efficiencies of about 5% of the sun's energy being converted into electricity. But in principle, one could do much better, and in the laboratory, people have achieved 15 to 20%. However, it's very expensive to do this now, but the promise is that it will be done more cheaply in the future. Here we see a diagram of such a device in which the particles of light, photons, hit a pure silicon crystal and eject electrons, leading to an electrical current. Recently, there has been a solar decathlon, a college competition in Washington, where various university groups try to design solar houses to carry out this process effectively and also lead to attractive structures. Here we see some of the entries, which are quite attractive structures. The prize-winning one was from Darmstadt, Germany, which is shown here, in which the solar cells are mounted on louvers whose angle is changed by computer so as to maximize their exposure to the sun as it moves across the sky. These solar houses are very expensive, but the cost will undoubtedly come down. As pointed out, there are some problems. They are still quite expensive and their efficiency is low. They need to reach an efficiency of at least 10% to become competitive with fossil fuel sources. Also, as with solar heating, they will not function at night or in cloudy weather, so we need storage devices like batteries and backup systems in order that they can be used. And there's a need for better batteries. Something in the offing is a development of cheaper solar cells that could be put on the roofs of houses. This is happening, and here, for an example, is an article about a Massachusetts company, Conacher, which is working on such a development of a cheaper and more efficient solar cell, which is flexible and could be used for roofing. It's of interest that the director of research of this company is the University of Massachusetts, Russ Guadiana. For cluster housing, apartment buildings, and industrial users, one can have clusters of solar cells so that one of these can serve a large number of users, which is more economical. Here, for example, is such a solar cell cluster being installed on the roof of a commercial building. One of the things that is happening is companies have been established which rent these and install them free and then sell the resulting electricity to the occupant of the building. A problem is that it's difficult to find enough space to accommodate an array of photocells to supply enough electricity for our use. Well, you've all heard of the expression pie in the sky. Well, an idea that's been proposed by the National Space Office is to put solar cells in the sky, and they think this may be possible within several decades. The problem is one of how to get the electrical power back to Earth. Here's a diagram showing one proposal to have long cables going down to Earth from the space collector. The technology for this is very difficult, but my guess is that it will eventually happen. One problem pointed out before is that we need backup systems, since these will not operate during the night or in cloudy weather. One possibility is to use them when they do operate to generate transportable fuels like hydrogen and alcohol, which then could be used in mobile vehicles. Also, it's not going to be cloudy everywhere at once, so that we could have sites in sunny areas transmitting power to others. Finally, we could interface these with conventional energy sources, and technology with electronics has made this possible. Well, as you can see, there are several ways in which we can make use of this abundant source of solar energy, and progress in developing them is occurring rather rapidly. So I can see the day when the roofs of our houses will be shingled with solar cells, which could supply up to 20 or 30% of our energy needs. I'm optimistic about the future of this.